They called it the Morrow Forest, named for the way it changed every morrow. A tangle of green that twisted its roots and paths with the setting sun, rearranging itself like a living puzzle. Villagers whispered of hunters who vanished, of voices calling from deep within, and of compasses that spun endlessly. No one who entered after sunset ever returned. But Elias wanted to be the first. At 17, Elias was the youngest cartographer in the kingdom. Obsessed with symmetry and patterns, he believed no terrain was beyond understanding. His room overflowed with maps, ocean currents, mountain veins, river deltas. But one corner of every royal map remained blank. Mororut. That blank space gnawed at him. So, on the final day of the harvest moon, with his compass, ink, parchment, and a strange cube-shaped device of his own invention, Elias stood at the edge of the cursed forest. "I'll map you," he whispered. He stepped in. The canopy swallowed the sun in moments, dousing the woods in twilight. For the first hour, it was like any other forest. He marked trees with chalk and nailed thin silver markers into trunks. He sketched a rough trail, pacing his steps carefully. But then the sun set. A long sigh rippled through the branches, as if the forest had been holding its breath all day. The chalk vanished. Trees he'd marked no longer stood where he left them. Paths curved into places they hadn't before. The forest was reborn. Elias didn't panic. He expected this. He activated the cube, his anchoring box. It emitted a faint, pulsing hum. Wherever he placed it, it locked its position relative to the earth, not the forest. He pressed it into the dirt and watched as the map on its face flickered to life. A glowing trail marking where he'd come from. The lines shifted as the forest did, but his path stayed true. Or so he thought. As night deepened, he heard footsteps behind him, then laughter, a child's. He turned. Nothing. He walked faster. The box pulsed red. Warning. The trees ahead bent inward, an arch of thorns. He turned again. Now there were two trails behind him, one glowing blue, the other green. One was his, the other a lie. The forest, it seemed, could imitate even his invention. Elias dropped to his knees, heart pounding. He scribbled furiously in his notebook. Two trees on the left had roots shaped like claws. One had moss in a crescent. Could he find constancy in impermanence? Then he noticed something stranger. The forest wasn't random. It moved, yes, but it moved with purpose. Certain formations repeated. Patterns emerged. A rock with a vein of silver. A stump like a coiled serpent. Symbols, maybe. A language. Elias camped beneath the crescent moss tree. That night, he dreamed of a woman made of bark and wind, her voice rustling through his thoughts. "Not lost," she whispered. "Tested." He woke to the cube flashing wildly. Paths split around him like a starburst. The forest was shifting again, violently. But Elias smiled. He followed the silver-veined rocks, the crescent moss, the clawed roots. He wasn't mapping the forest. He was reading it. For days, he followed the sentences, natural landmarks that repeated like stanzas. His parchment filled with winding loops, loops within loops. Then, on the seventh night, he reached a clearing where the trees all bent outward, as though repelled by something. In the center, a pedestal. Upon it lay a stone map, etched not with rivers or roads, but with shifting concentric circles, like the inside of a clock. He placed his cube atop it. The cube stopped pulsing. The map spun, then clicked. Suddenly, he saw everything, the logic behind the chaos. The forest shifted at sunset not to trap, but to protect. It guarded this map, a key to navigating not just Mororut, but any illusion. It was the world's most ancient compass. Elias walked out of the forest at dawn, just as the villagers were preparing a ceremony for the lost boy. When they saw him, older somehow, but radiant, they dropped their offerings in shock. He handed the elder his scroll. "The path doesn't vanish," he said. "You just have to learn how to listen to it." Years later, his map of Moro route became a sacred text, part navigational guide, part riddle, part poem. But no one could follow it, not truly, unless the forest chose them back.